for the WBO Junior Welterweight Championship of the World. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing white with red trim. Official weight, 140 pounds. This 1992 Olympic gold medalist now has a professional record consisting of 38 bouts, including 22 knockouts, with only 5 defeats, 1 draw. He's a native of Cuba, but now living, training, and fighting out of Miami, Florida, USA. The challenger, 2-time world champion, former lightweight and super featherweight champion of the world, Joel El Cebilio Casamayor. And fighting out of the red corner, wearing brown and orange, officially weighing 140 pounds. His professional record, perfect. 27 fights, 27 victories, including 11 knockouts. Fighting out of Palm Springs, California, USA, the undefeated WBO Junior Welterweight Champion of the World, Timothy Desert Storm Bradley.
All right, gentlemen, this is for the WBO Junior Welterweight title. You've received your instructions in the dressing room. Again, I want to caution. Any punch below this point will be called low. Golpes debajo de este punto será llamado bajo. With that said, I want you to obey my commands, protect yourselves at all times. Obedezca mis comandos y protegerse a su mismo siempre. Touch them up now. Good luck to both of you. Tóquenlo. Buena suerte, hombres.
After turning down a big money fight with Amir Khan to unify titles at 140 pounds, Bradley needs to do something big here tonight to make people think that he's a credible opponent for Manny Pacquiao.
Joel Casamayor is the one guy here, incidentally, who does not know that he's 40 years old. Joel believes that he's still one of the very top fighters in the world. That may not hurt him in the fight, but it doesn't matter much to Tim Bradley, who goes at just about everybody the same way. A very aggressive, strong-minded fighter, Emmanuel.
Right. Very, very tough little guy. He knows how to physically get in and rough up a guy. And I guess I could say to some degree the same thing with Casamayor, even though he's a little older. But both guys to be very physical, too.
Well, I mentioned the ringside joke, Emmanuel. First good butt wins the fight. Maybe we'll get lucky with this southpaw and conventional fighter, and their heads won't come together, but the odds favor the opposite.
First good punch was landed by Bradley, and it looked like it shook Casamayor up a little bit.
And solid right hand up the middle, no doubt. Right. In his last fight, January 29 in Pontiac, Michigan, Tim Bradley came out fast against another southpaw, Devin Alexander. Landed his straight right hand up the middle enough to make his point. He was leading on the scorecards when Alexander could not continue following a headbutt incident, which caused vision problems for Alexander, so Devin said in the ring that night.
Saw Casamayor land one of his sneaky straight left hands moments ago.
But Bradley's putting a lot of pressure on Casamayor. He's cutting down his space, ring space. See the little elbow from Casamayor right there. But anyway, you're going to see Bradley put a lot of pressure on him, particularly landing kind of a right hook like when he gets close to Casamayor.
Oh, Casamayor really used that head.
You suppose this is the kind of fight, Emmanuel, and the referee sees the assignment and says, oh no, I have to do Bradley Casamayor. This is going to be a horrible night for me. I mean, it's just impossible to imagine a clean fight between these two guys with no unusual incident. Good left hook or a good right cross, I should say, by Bradley. As Casamayor was hitting him with a left, Bradley countered perfectly with a right, knocked him back into the ropes. Bradley's just so much quicker, Emmanuel.
Yeah, he's crowding Casamayor. Casamayor is a very intelligent fighter, and typical of a lot of the experienced fighters from Cuba, where they learn how to land clean points, box, fake, get out of the way. Bradley's taking his space away from him, making him fight a much more intense, closer and faster pace than he likes to fight at.
Good right hand over the top by Bradley, and he fired in a body shot as well. Tim Bradley's off to a very professional, good start against Joel Casamayor. Bradley's body's always been muscular. Looks even more so tonight. Seems to be in terrific shape for this. Frustrated after a 9-month layoff, he switched promoters, changed business circumstances, and now is on the watch list as a possible Manny Pacquiao opponent.
Hey, you're telegraphing the right, man. He sees the right coming. That's why he's going down on you. You're pulling it back. Don't pull it back. His jab, he's sagging it, man. He's just throwing it slow. You can catch him with a left hook over it. Got that? Watch his left. You catch him with a good left straight over there. Because you're working into straight. Come on, let's move the shoulders side to side a little bit. Can we do that?
Breathe. Straighten your legs. Straighten your legs. You gotta move more. You gotta move more your head. You gotta jab. Don't go back. You're coming in, put your head down, and throw punches on the inside. Stay there. Stay there. You stay.
Round 2 begins. Joel Casamayor did some holding and some grappling in the first round, but Tim Bradley did most of the punching.
Casamayor's got to do a better job than that, hiding the fact that he's leading with his head. I mean, he's just being blatant about it.
Break! Good head.
3 blatant attempts at headbutts so far in this fight from Casamayor. And I mean blatant.
Break! Wrong hit, wrong hit.
There are some fighters for whom the word tricky would be a compliment. When you hear people say Joel Casamayor is tricky, it's a euphemism. They're really saying he does a lot of stuff in there that isn't legal prize fighting. But cocky as he is, and some would say self-deluded as he is, and the subject of Tim Bradley wanting to fight Manny Pacquiao came up yesterday. Casamayor said, what are you talking about? I'm the one who should fight Pacquiao and Mayweather. I'm the best opponent for both of them.
But, you know, Casamayor keeps his head up high, and Bradley's trying to get real close so he can catch him on a shot with his head up. You got to get very close so he's going to catch him on a shot with his head straight up in there.
Casamayor was a gold medalist. He has wins over Diego Corrales, Nate Campbell, some very, very good fighters. And he thinks of himself as a champion.
That was a while ago. Last year, we had him on in a showdown against a former sparring buddy, and I use the term as carefully as I can, Robert Guerrero. The fight was dreadful. Yesterday, Guerrero came to the fighter meeting with Casamayor, more or less arm in arm, best buddies, and when I said to them, oh, now we see why your fight was so dreadful, they just both smiled about it.
Tim Bradley ain't his best buddy.
Not so far. Isn't likely to leave here as his best buddy either. Bradley takes and gives no quarter. He's ready to fight you fire with fire, regardless of the style you bring. And of course, part of the business decision that Bradley made was to walk away from a potential meeting with Amir Khan, for which he had been offered a very large payday. It amounted, in the estimate of some, to $1.8 million. Khan was generous enough to say, hey, I'll give you 50% of pay-per-view money in Great Britain, even though logic says Bradley doesn't sell pay-per-views in Great Britain. And Bradley caught a lot of heat in the boxing community for walking away from that fight. He made it look, to some, as though he was ducking Amir Khan. We'll talk more about that in the next round. Friday, December 2, tune in to HBO for Cotto Margarito 24/7 Overtime. I'll be joined by Mac Kellerman and special guests to discuss the Cotto Margarito 24/7 series. Look forward to the big fight Saturday afternoon. We'll be on the air again with Fight Day Now, the best source for everything you need to know regarding the pay-per-view grudge match between Miguel Cotto and Antonio Margarito.
Then you're going in there. He's just trying to grab you. Got that? You gotta fake him.
1-2, 1-2, make yourself smaller. You gotta be smaller.
Está haciendo muy bien.
You're doing a good job. Build your confidence. You're doing good. With confidence. Careful with his right hand, okay?
Tú te quedas ahí, no te muevas.
Don't move. Stay there. You stay there.
Queda ahí.
Stay there.
CompuBox numbers through the second round, quite one-sided. Bradley 27 out of 106 so far. Casamayor only 7 punches landed in 64 thrown, 11%. So, as it stands right now, Khan and Bradley rank as the #1 and 240-pound fighters in the world. Take your pick according to your own predilections as to which one ranks #1, although it's Khan who has all the momentum at this point because he's had some big wins this year and is headed toward another big fight with Lamont Peterson in December. Emmanuel, how would Bradley's style match up against Amir Khan?
Bradley's style would match up very well with any junior welterweight in the world. The thing is, I don't see Khan as a junior welterweight much longer after this fight. He seems to be physically much bigger, but Bradley's, I've learned from in the amateurs with him, he's very, very, unappreciative guy. Watch him at a distance until you see him in with fighters, and he breaks fighters who are good classical fighters down in his own strange, smart way.
He's an all-around fighter. You can't cite any one thing that he does particularly well, but he's athletic, he has stamina,
yes,
and he can do just about everything up to a level.
And he thinks very well in the ring, and he's always in good condition.
What about the power deficit? He's only got 11 knockouts in 27 fights. He likes to say that's not the mark of whether I'm a hard puncher, but at the end of the day, that's the bottom line.
Yeah, but he's been with a lot of very durable guys that no one knocks out too much either. He hasn't been fighting a lot of guys that was easy. Most of his fights have been with very good quality fighters too. I think he's a pretty good puncher. Not great, but not bad.
Wins over Lamont Peterson and Devin Alexander. That stacks up favorably with anything that anybody else in the 140-pound weight class has accomplished, including Khan.
Bradley has something inside of him that's a little different than other well-rounded fighters. He's a skillful fighter, he's fast, he hits just hard enough, he can fight aggressively or defensively, but there's a little extra determination. You see it in his physique, works very, very hard, and he fights hard.
And he's winning a one-sided fight here because so far, Joel Casamayor does not have the physical wherewithal to stay with Tim Bradley. He's just not quick enough, he's not strong enough, he's not throwing enough punches. And the crowd makes clear what they think of Guerrero's performance so far. Casamayor's performance so far. His buddy Robert Guerrero is recovering from a shoulder injury and hopes to be back soon. He lost a scheduled fight against Marcos Maidana because of that shoulder surgery. Hard right hand by Bradley over the top. Another cupping right hand for Bradley. Well, we're going to begin moving toward our main event now as we take you through this last undercard fight. Earlier this evening, our Max Kellerman went to Juan Manuel Marquez's dressing room for a conversation. Let's see what they got.
What's waiting for you in that ring tonight?
I waiting the best Manny Pacquiao, the best fighter. I waiting everything. I working very hard and I win everything. I win Manny Pacquiao strong, speed, everything.
How do you beat him?
I think with experience, with intelligence, with everything. I working very hard, I tell you, and then I think with more intelligence and counterpunch too.
A lot of people think he's going to knock you out. Can you knock him out?
I looking for. I try. I know this is a top fight for me, but I try. I training very hard, and I looking for the knockout.
Thanks, champ.
Kudos to Juan Manuel Marquez for doing that interview in English, which helps us. Obviously, it's not as comfortable for him as if he had worked in his own native language, but this is something that both Marquez and to a greater degree Pacquiao have labored to do so that they can relate better to our audience. Harold, how do you have this fight scored through 3?
I tell you, Jim, 3-0, 30-27, Timothy Bradley. Let's see what Vic Draculus has to say here. Okay, 1 point for holding.
Casamayor looks at him as if to say, what? Me?
Jim,
holding? Who's talking about?
I'll tell you, I was going to throw this in. You know, Joe Casamayor tackles better than Darrell Revis. I mean, that's what he does. Bradley comes in, and Joe Casamayor tackles him. And finally, Dracula's just got fed up and took a point. And that's the reason. He grabs him, holds him, frustrates him. You can't tackle a guy. You got to punch. 3-0 Bradley.
And if any of you boxing fans don't watch Harold Letterman's New York Jets, Darrell Revis is a sensational cornerback who may be the best at his position in the NFL. And indeed is a pretty strong tackler.
Bradley took a PR hit when he turned down the Khan fight. Switched promoters, hoping to get a Pacquiao payday pretty obviously for bigger money. But it's tough to bill yourself sort of as the Marvin Hagler type guy, you see the bald head and the physique, who's had to earn everything he's got. He had a tough road to this premier level, Bradley has. He's had to fight all kinds of guys in their backyards, and he's always won. But it's tough to bill yourself as that guy if you turn down a fight when the glamour guy, the money guy in the division, Khan, is cutting you in 50-50 to make the fight. And I think he was aware of that PR hit he's taken, and he's fighting like he wants to get some of that street cred back.
And just to show you how independent-minded Tim Bradley can be, a few years ago, boxing has an image as a meat and potatoes, blood and guts sport. A few years ago, Bradley experimented with a vegan diet in training. It worked so well for him, made him feel so good that he's full-time vegan now. Does not ingest animal protein, and says that it gives him a level of energy and mostly mental focus and clarity, which makes him a much better fighter.
Well, he ingests junior welterweights.
Good left hook by Bradley. Another good left hook by Bradley. Casamayor is just barely there in terms of physicality in this fight, and Bradley is having his way. Landing punches from all angles. Not big shots, but solid shots.
Okay.
Here's a straight left hand for Casamayor, which is his best landed punch in the fight. Good left hand to the body by Bradley punctuates the round. Let's hear what Max's conversation with Manny Pacquiao was.
Manny, you had two very tough, close fights with this guy. What's in store for you tonight?
What's in store in my mind is to give a good performance tonight and to win the fight and, you know, give my best and to make people happy.
I mean, what does Marquez have in store for you? What goes through your mind when you're facing a guy who gave you two such tough fights?
I have to prove right now to prove that there's not gonna be issue after the fight.
Have you improved since the last time you two met?
I improved a lot, and I think big different.
What's the difference?
Compared before, because especially my right hand I improved a lot, and also more experience right now, and people knows that, you know, this is a different weight division, and I've been fighting a bigger guy, bigger than me, so I think it's good for me to fight same size with me.
Thanks, champ.
Back in the ring, average CompuBox numbers through the first 4 rounds. Bradley averaging 15 landed punches out of 56 thrown in every round. That's very Tim Bradley. That's the pace at which he fights. That's the percentage at which he normally connects. Joel Casamayor, 4 out of 34 in every round. In other words, he's nowhere near the fight quite yet. Well, there was a lot of scoffing in the boxing fraternity among writers and chat participants when this matchup was made.
Body shot.
And down goes Casamayor on a body shot. There was a lot of speculation that this was a gift to Tim Bradley, and so far it has not been competitive. Harold Letterman had already given one 2-point round to Bradley. Now this may become another one. Just hammering Casamayor. Body and Casamayor lands a low blow on the side where Vic Draculich didn't see it. Now Casamayor with another one of those tackles that Harold Letterman was talking about. competitive fight as the 40-year-old is getting ripped to the body and is showing the suffering against the ropes.
And his head is straight up in there. All of a sudden, Bradley's going to switch up and shoot a shot to the head, and Casamayor's head is going to be right there.
Casamayor is trying to use what he's got left, you know, throughout this fight, and he's had limited success in spots, but Bradley's not having it. You can't con Tim Bradley out of a fight.
Guerrero had it easy against Casamayor. Bradley's having it even easier here tonight.
Bradley's putting more pressure on him, taking his space from him.
At this point, you have to expect, and frankly, I hope that if nothing changes, it's the last time we'll see Joel Casamayor in a position like this on a major pay-per-view card. No great credit to anyone that he's in there tonight, unless he dramatically improves this performance. Another good body shot by Bradley. Tim Bradley's just gradually, systematically chopping Joel Casamayor down, mostly with body shots. Another hard left to the body. Bradley loads up a right to the body. Another left to the body. Another right to the body.
Without leaning on him. Every time you're stepping in, you're falling inside. If you just keep yourself that little distance to work, especially that left to the body, it's over.
Those punches are trailing a little low. Keep on.
Okay, let's keep working that shot, champ. Okay? When you're moving back, you come back in, don't throw that right. Make sure you're coming in. We're gonna do the same thing again. Hey, I want you to tighten up your defense. Hey, you gotta go look for him, but when you throw your punches,
okay? Get a hook in there.
Okay?
Okay?
Si lo pesca, le va a
you
ganar.
catch him, you're gonna win.
Pero tiene que, si no tira, no le va a ganar.
Here you see the knockdown. It was scored by a right hand to the solar plexus. The most painful punch you can get directly in the solar plexus.
CompuBox numbers in the 5th round. Bradley 24 out of 47. He landed more than half his punches. Joel Casamayor 3 out of 26.
That hurt to watch. A shot like that in the solar plexus.
Unless something changes, there's another knockdown. Knockdown in the previous round, knockdown in this round. Casamayor doesn't believe it was a knockdown. He thinks he was thrown down. Bottom line is he was hit with a punch and he fell to the canvas, and that's a knockdown.
Everyone can relate to that solar plexus shot right in the schoolyard with your little brother, whatever it is. You take a shot in the solar plexus, it hurts. That's Tim Bradley hitting you just right there.
It takes about a week to regain your breath. I remember...
and it's interesting that Bradley has not attempted to hit him there again with a punch.
Arturo Gatti caught Leonard Doreen to the solar plexus, and Doreen didn't get up for about 2.5 minutes. Good body shot with the left hand by Tim Bradley. Such a pro. Casamayor fires right at the belt line. Draculich tells Casamayor to keep it up. Up meaning elevated. From a training standpoint here, it's the battle of the Diazes. The veteran Miguel Diaz of Argentina is in the corner with Joel Casamayor, and Tim Bradley is trained by Joel Diaz out in the Palm Springs area, the Desert Storm scene, where Joel, a former fighter, has done a brilliant job of maximizing what Bradley can do. There's another good body shot with the left hand by Bradley, and Casamayor backed right up. Now he's backed his way into the ropes. If there's a knockout in this fight, it will be from an accumulation of body punishment.
that right to the body that's catching Casamayor at that perfect angle for Bradley.
He just cannot deal with this pace. Everything there's too much because Bradley won't give him any room. Casamayor he likes to place his shots. He likes to fight intelligently. Bradley won't let him do that.
We're only 6 rounds into a scheduled 12. But Casamayor seems totally defenseless in there, Emmanuel. At what point should Miguel Diaz consider telling his fighter not to go back out for the next round? Too early?
Too early.
Give me your
Well, I
face.
can dream, can't I?
Ahí. Aquí.
Put it over here. You good? How are you doing, Cepillo? How you doing? Cepillo, how you doing? How you feeling? You okay? Water.
And rotate those fucking punches. Let's finish this guy off already. Got that? Every time you get that opportunity to work the body, let's rotate those shoulders. Got the shit? Let's do this, baby.
Use that jab like a pistol, though, Tim, all right?
Here you see, which is really definitely a referee's call when it comes down to a knockdown, because it wasn't a punch on the head, but actually officially you could call it a knockdown. He went down as a result of being hit with a punch that was above the belt line. Any punch at the upper part of the body and you go down as a result of it, it's a knockdown. It's at the discretion of the referee. In this case, he chose to call it a knockdown.
Harold, how do you have it through 6?
Okay, Jim, 60-51, 6 rounds to nothing, Timothy Bradley. The 10-8 round in round 4 was because Draculas took a point for holding, and 2 knockdowns, one in round 5 and one in round 6, gave Tim Bradley 10-8 rounds in those 2 rounds. So, Tim Bradley really won. He's pitching a shutout, 60-51.
Not an egregious call, the knockdown, but as a statement of fact, he got cuffed behind the head and pulled down.
And that's why he complained.
He was right. It shouldn't have been a knockdown.
But with the score being what it is at this point, Casamayor would have to knock Bradley out twice to win the fight. Just kidding, but it feels that way. Harold, what else you got?
Okay, Jim, this is very, very interesting. They have instant replay in Nevada. Now, could Joe Casamayor object to the call of Vic Draculas on the knockdown? And I think the answer is no, because Keith Kaiser said to me, you can only use instant replay for fight-ending injuries. So therefore, it wasn't a fight-ending injury. Casamayor couldn't go to Keith Kaiser of the commission and say, I want an instant replay.
All that tells us that while New Jersey has agreed to be very liberal in the use of replay and uses it for a number of different situations, Nevada still wants to be more conservative in its employment of the replay tactic.
Correct.
You know, Casamayor, the only success he's had tonight is with the left hand. And if you're in Casamayor's corner, Emmanuel, at what point do you tell him, hey, just load up on a left hand? You found a home for it here and there. Try and knock him out with it. It's the only shot he has.
Yeah, it's the only shot he has, because at this stage, he always still catches a lot of young fighters coming in with those little clean punches. He's got pretty good eyes, pretty tricky for old guy, but in this case, to systematically be broken down, no.
Hey, he scored a late knockdown of Guerrero in a fight in which Guerrero had won every round up to that point, and by my lights might have been getting bored or wasn't paying as much attention as he should have, but Casamayor caught him with a little quick right hook counterpunch and knocked him down. I don't see it happening here.
No, but it's his only chance, so we could either do this for another 4.5 rounds, and Bradley can win 120 to however many points Casamayor has after knockdowns or non-knockdowns, you know, or Casamayor could actually try to win.
120 to 105 is what we're headed for at this moment.
Right.
That's with no more knockdowns and no more penalty points.
Casamayor could argue it should have been 120 to 106. How dare they make it 105?
That's right. How dare they give me only 105? All right, final web poll results on your predictions as to who will win the Pacquiao-Marquez fight, and it winds up 76% for Pacquiao, 24% for Marquez. And the odds in the sports books are along those lines as well, but let's give it to you one more time. The case for Marquez. 72 judged rounds in the first 2 fights with Pacquiao. That's 24 times 3 judges. 41 of those ballots said Marquez. Has landed 25 more total punches over the course of the 2 fights. Has landed 38 more power punches over the course of the 2 fights. landed at a higher connect percentage than Pacquiao in both fights. Pacquiao's margins of victory in the second fight and the tactic by which he got a draw in the first fight were knockdowns and more jabs, more punches thrown. Volume punching is often what judges see, but Marquez had his moments in both fights, and indeed, my estimate is that half to 2/3 of the boxing reporters in the media section behind us had Marquez winning the second fight. The judges gave it to Pacquiao by a point.
Got it? Okay. Box. Time in.
7 rounds in the books.
Time.
70-60 for Bradley.
Time in. Box.
Casamayor just a little bit late out of the corner. Miguel Diaz putting the mouthpiece in at the last possible moment. Tim Bradley trying to earn some respect and some credit for what looks like a too easy win so far against Joel Casamayor. Maybe he leaves here just with a paycheck, keeps his record unbeaten, stays in line for a possible fight with Manny Pacquiao if, in fact, Pacquiao is not, first of all, if he gets past Marquez tonight, and then if he isn't choosing another, perhaps larger revenue fight for his next assignment.
It's not Bradley's fault that the last 2 guys he fought, both southpaws, Devin Alexander, who's a young fighter, who was rising at the time, Casamayor, an old one who's seen his better days, but it's not his fault that neither one basically wanted to engage with Bradley. Bradley tried to make the best fight under the circumstances in both cases.
And was disappointed with the way the fight was viewed, and one of the reasons he cited for wanting to move from his old promoter to the new promoter was he didn't understand how that fight wound up before a relatively sparse crowd in Pontiac, Michigan. Alexander's from St. Louis, he's from Palm Springs. Why were they fighting in Pontiac? It was a logical question which Bradley himself asked.
You can see here too, Bradley's not one of these super fighters like Pacquiao. Even if a guy's trying to survive, Pacquiao can still look sensational. Bradley's much more lunch pail.
Put him up. Launch leg.
Again, I raised the question. At what point should Miguel Diaz say to Joel, you know what, Joel, you've had a great career. Let's not bother with rounds 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. I mean, he's just getting battered around like a tennis ball in there. But of course, Miguel Diaz would say to me, why? Bradley's not a guy who hurts you that badly. As long as Joel's in there standing up, he's got a chance to knock him out.
Well, you couldn't stop this fight at this stage between the rounds, because it's not where, you know, he's getting hit that many solid. Well, I spoke too soon.
I started to say, what round are you watching?
Yeah.
Casamayor's leaning in, and Bradley, as a result, those hooks are landing towards the back of Casamayor's head.
And there's a shot, and there's a shot. And incidentally, when guys get really hurt, it's because the guy they're facing doesn't have the one-punch power to put them away.
Exactly.
But he's hammering them with every shot, and particularly body shots. And down goes Casamayor again.
3.
Well, they definitely should stop it now. It's,
5.
And Miguel Diaz is going to step through the ropes and do exactly what I'm suggesting. Done. Good call, Miguel. He's a pro.
Good call, Jim Lampley, right at the right time.
All right, so that exercise is done with the prefigured result. Bradley moves his record to 28 wins, no losses, 12 now by KO. And he'll wait to see what happens with Manny Pacquiao.
What's up, baby? Easy work, man. Easy work. We ready for the next level. Let's go.
Indeed, it was easy work. And here's another look at Bradley hammering Casamayor around the ring with the shots that Miguel Diaz was able to see. And that's the knockdown there, which was more an accumulation knockdown than it was a one-punch knockdown. Same thing here. One of those cuffing shots that Max talked about. And the stoppage here as Vic Draculich was counting Casamayor. Miguel Diaz came through the ropes and said, we don't need any more. A workmanlike and highly effective performance by Tim Bradley.
Other than that, you can fight and come back, man. Now I gotta go back, keep on this on board.
Let's go to Michael Buffer now for the particulars on the knockout.
Ladies and gentlemen, the end comes at 2 minutes 59 seconds of the end of the 8th round. The winner by TKO victory and still WBO Junior Welterweight Champion of the World, Timothy Desert Storm Bradley.